Okay. Looking good. I forgot to put the outside camera on. There we are. Good morning, good morning. Another beautiful blue sky day here in Tokyo. It's still cold though. Yesterday it was cold. It was bone-chilling cold. I tried to go for a walk in the morning and just turned back. I went out again in the afternoon once it warmed up a little bit, but not to complain. It's clean and clear. This is what we want. But oh, I see some garbage there. Bottom left corner, the yellow-orange bag there. Today it's the first Monday in the month, which means this is the day they pick up, kikembutsu. And when you've got broken glass or old batteries or fluorescent lights and stuff, that's the day for that miscellaneous sort of dangerous stuff. You're supposed to put it out in a bag with a label, kikem, and I did. I've scribbled on the outside of it in my childish writing. So the guy will come by around 8:30. I don't see any more. My neighbors to the left of me, we've all got our bags, all down the sidewalk. It's once a month, first Monday in the month. It's March the 1st. And tomorrow, being the first Tuesday in the month, tomorrow is going to be the cleaning day. Cleaning day outside. I will be the comedians' faces are all going to get washed tomorrow morning by yours truly. So, I know it's different this time. They're going to be dirty this time because it was canceled last month because of the lockdown, blah, blah, blah. So we let it go last month. And always January, there's a pass because it's New Year. Tuesday was like January 2nd or something. So this stuff hasn't been done. This cleaning job hasn't been done since December. This is really, really unusual. It's usually every month we skip January. And now January and February both got skipped. So tomorrow morning I'll be out there on the stepladder cleaning the comedians. That's my job. Me and the guy from the local tendon shop that you can't see off to the right here, we split it half and half. We are the two tallest guys on the block. And both of us were in the same thing, like, I'll say, look, I'll do it, it's okay, no problem. He says, no, I'll do it, it's okay. So we do it half and half, and we get assistance. We don't, what can I say? We've got a tall ladder here, which the community association owns. And the wife of the guy who runs Hotarudo, the antique shop, well, she and he run it together. She does the bucket. She prepares a bucket full of hot water and a couple of cloths, whatever. And she will give me the cloth. I move the ladder into position, up I go, balance for a minute, wipe it, come down, give her the cloth. She's got the next one ready, hands off. I take the ladder over to the next station. Oh, this is today's show and tell. This is fun. I can't wait. This is fun. I'm not tall at all. When I was younger, I was like 5'10 3/4" or something, and now I'm probably 5'2", or I don't know, whatever. I'm getting smaller and smaller as we go. But compared to the local people here, my age, I'm still taller. So. Will I record it? No. They wouldn't want that, and they wouldn't be cool with that. So when cleaning the comedian to figure out his name is on the post. It's right there. I know it's not a secret. I don't remember it. I'm sorry. Can we read it? Can you read the lettering right there? I can't read the lettering, but it's not a secret. So if it's important, I can go and figure it out. But there's a capsule biography on every post, because lots of the people, they'll look, oh, I know that guy, I remember, and his name and stuff is all on the post. So it looks like somebody mailed a loaf of bread. It's not a loaf of bread. It's a small. This is auction goods that came last week, and actually the guy is bugging me. I haven't opened it yet, but the guy's bugging me, and please do the confirmation of delivery, because he doesn't get his money until the confirmation of delivery. But I don't care, I've saved it. I've saved it for today. So as soon as the stream is over, assuming it's okay, I will go and click the confirmation of delivery. Yeah, both things are true. I am taller compared to a lot of people on this block, but if I just go on a random train at rush hour or something, the young salaryman, they're my height or taller. It's dramatically changed. When I first came here, I could go on a train and soon look to the end of the carriage. I can't do that anymore. No, it's changed. It's whatever it is. It's milk and beef and whatever the stuff is that they eat these days. Karen's 5'4", looks like a giant. Well, among Japanese women, maybe okay, but not among Japanese men. So. How do we prevent green wood from getting cracks? We don't use green wood at all. We've got wood upstairs that's been seasoning for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. We don't use green wood. Of course, we can't do. Impossible. Before the wood gets to me on this bench, it has been dried and dried and dried. Blow. Socks blown off. Yes, yes, yes. Blow. That's the key. Just enough. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. When I saw this item, I had heard of this item before. I knew that it existed, but I'd never seen one. And it came up on auctions. I have got to get this. I have got to get this. We need this for our collection. Absolutely, we need this for our collection. So. Okay, we'll carve a paw here. Am I on camera? Is it there? It's on. Yeah, I guess so. So Monday morning, I had a lazy weekend. I had a whole list of stuff to do, and I did a little bit of it, but honestly speaking, not much. I had a lazy weekend. Sorry about that, but there. Some stuff I did get done. I know one of the things, I know the shipping people have been waiting for me. They've been bugging me, Dave, get this done. I know it's the address labels for the next group of the gift print. We used to call it a New Year card, but it ends up that we don't really send it at the New Year for many people. So we've switched really now. Instead of calling it a New Year card, we just call it our gift print. There's a bunch of these that are due to go to Patreon people, and a bunch of them that are going to print subscribers and stuff. And I've been delaying getting the address labels ready, and I did that over the weekend. So hundreds of address labels have now been prepared, and they will go to our shipping people later today. And these are for shipping out what was theoretically a New Year card, but is really just simply our annual gift. On my walk yesterday, I got to an area that I hadn't actually covered before. You know, around here, there's so many interesting places to walk. You know, you can do parks or just street scenes or whatever. And I walked in a direction that I hadn't walked before. I went to the river, the Sumida River here, and I usually, when I get to the river, I head north from here. There's a huge, long park with thousands of cherry trees in it. It's too soon for them yet, but they are there. And I usually go north, but today what I did was, it was really chilly. That was a shady area. So to get the sunshine, I crossed the river and I headed south on the opposite embankment. And what they've done, you know, this river going through Tokyo, of course, is historically flooding all the time. Tokyo, the area that it's built, was originally basically marshy delta, and it floods all the time. In the old days when there were, you know, typhoons and too much rain and stuff. Once it became a city, they had to do something about this, so they built, you know, embankments along the river, all the way up and down. And there was a massive typhoon somewhere, I don't know, 1950s or something, I don't know. And at that point, they decided, okay, we've got to fix this, and they massively elevated this embankment all the way through this part of Tokyo. From a few kilometers upstream from where I am here, right down to the sea, they built huge concrete embankments. And at that time, they didn't think of it as any kind of it was just simply flood control. So it was just a concrete, massive levee. And inside it, if your house was on the inside of it, instead of seeing a river view, all you could see was, you know, this massive concrete side. And outside of it, of course, was nothing. It was just the river. But in recent decades, actually, I guess, so they've changed the idea that they can still have this concrete barrier, but it should be somewhat more user-friendly. So bit by bit, area by area, over the past few decades, and certainly in recent years, increasingly so, they've changed this massive concrete dam into park-type stuff. They've widened it, they've put paths on the top, and on the part that's inside the river area, they've put a terrace on there. Now, this is an area that's going to get flooded. It'll get flooded every summer, really. But they've built a terrace in there with park facilities and different plants and stuff like that. And the fact that it gets flooded doesn't matter. They've built stuff there that handles the flooding. You know. So yesterday I walked on this terrace all the way from here, Asakusa, down, not right to the seaside, but well over halfway down. A nice sunshine all the way down, and they've really put lots of amenities in there, you know. There was a place where a bunch of kids were practicing parkour. You know, there's these concrete planters and stuff like this, and the kids are, my God, looks like they were just killing themselves. They were jumping off the top of this massive concrete thing down 3 meters or so, I guess, I don't know, onto these concrete planters and running back up and climbing around. I think I said the same thing a week or so ago. There was kids doing skateboarding on one of these ramps, and it was scary, but this was way more scary, you know. They're doing this in groups, you know, 4, 5, 6 boys doing this, and they've got their video cameras, you know, and I stopped and watched for a little bit. There was one kid, he was standing on a planter, and the job was to jump across, I don't know, about a 2-meter gap, not a 2-meter gap, maybe a 6-foot gap or something. And he had to land on the railing, which had the water below it, and his friends were videoing, you know. So he stands on this thing and gets ready and thinks and then jumps. He doesn't jump quite far enough. He's practicing this. So and he jumps, lands in front of the railing, and the kid, you know, get the video again. And I had to stand there and watch because I was like, is he actually going to jump onto this railing and then not fall in the water? And I watched for a few minutes, and he did that. He practiced and practiced and practiced to a point where he could leap across this gap, land on top of the railing, at which point it's right down into the river. And he just stood there and swung and then jumped backwards. And they got their video, and they all gathered around to look at the video on the screen. You know, and I guess it's probably up on YouTube now or something. I don't know. Going closer. Paper's out. Yes, not only is paper out, she's already printing. I know there's only one printer here today. It's Suga-san. She left her button on the door. I took her paper out about 6 o'clock. She came early though. She came about 7:15 or something. So when she got here, her papers would still have been a little bit iffy. But she knew. It's okay. They're okay. She's printing already now. What she's doing, she's just finishing off today the yokai prints. The yokai, you know, I can never remember the name. Calamity. The Calamity group prints. So. There was a funny story in my newspaper, my printed newspaper. I still get a newspaper here, and there was a funny story in my newspaper yesterday, which I thought was really, really cool. I thought I'd share it. Actually, I didn't get a link. It's the name, Japan News. If somebody can find it, there'll be a link on it. It's the Japan News is the name of the newspaper, and it was in yesterday. And if you search for the word Sekigahara, Sekigahara was the headline of the newspaper story. And that's, when I first saw this, Sekigahara, I thought, oh, it's a story about traditional, whatever, revolutionary Japan. Sekigahara is the place where they had the big battle at the beginning of the Edo period. There's the end of the warring states period, and different groups and different people were vying for power, grabbing power, losing it, grabbing power, losing it. And we had this where one guy, Tokugawa Ieyasu, managed to finally clobber everybody else and unify the country. And that battle happened at Sekigahara. So whenever I see that in the newspaper, I thought, okay, it's a story about this. It wasn't. It was something else really quite cool. It's the location. Sekigahara is located north and somewhere north and west maybe of Nagoya. It's central in Japan between the two main urban centers, Tokyo and Osaka, Edo and Kansai, Kanto and Kansai. And it turns out that that's a key location because it's between Tokyo and Osaka. There's a bunch of things in Japan that are done differently on what they call the east side of the country here in Tokyo and the west side of the country down in Osaka. Now there's lots more. There's Hokkaido, Okinawa, whatever, but the core island here is divided into east and west. And one of the very funny parts of this is that the electricity system is built 60 cycle in one part of the country and 50 cycle in another part of the country. I guess back in the early days of modernization, a couple of different companies or different government groups, whatever, got going on this, and they didn't coordinate quite well enough, or they just fought about it. I have no idea about the history. But here, I think it's 60 cycle here. I forget which it is. It's 60 cycle here and 50 cycle down in Osaka. And back in the old days, before electrical goods were as sophisticated as they are now, you had to buy, when you bought a vacuum cleaner, you bought a Tokyo model of your vacuum cleaner, or you bought an Osaka model of your vacuum cleaner, because they didn't work in the other areas. These days, the goods that you buy are smart enough. You just plug them in and they understand where they are, and it's okay. Anyway, the other thing that Sekigahara is a borderline for, and I didn't know this at all, it's the escalator culture. Here in Tokyo, you get to the train station, you go on the escalator where there's room for two people to go up, and you stand on the left and walk on the right. I mean, Japan is a left-hand drive country, so I guess that seems to be the way to do it. The culture is recently changing. The train companies and the government are trying to convince everybody, don't walk on escalators. Stand on the left and stand on the right in double formation, and don't walk. And I guess some researchers somewhere have figured out, or they think they've figured out, that that's the maximum way to move as many people up an escalator as possible. True or not, I don't know. Anyway, long story short, here in Tokyo, you stand on the left and walk on the right. Over in Kansai, Osaka, Kyoto, you stand on the right and walk on the left. I have no idea why the culture started this way. I know nothing about the background, just that's the way it is. Anyway, the point about this newspaper story is some bright spark, some smart guy in the newspaper company said, wait a minute, if we do this here in Tokyo, and if they do that down there, where's the borderline? When you go to train station A, train station B, all the way down the line on these train stations between Tokyo and Osaka, somewhere along the line, there must be a train station where people are confused. So the reporter set out to find this, and he ended up in Sekigahara. And it goes back quite a ways, because when he first started to do this, it turned out it's such a small town, there weren't any escalators. So recently, somebody built an escalator, a shopping center there, and the reporter's interested in finding out, okay, what's going to happen here? How many people are going to stand on the left? How many are going to stand on the right? What's going to happen? Are they going to fight with each other? And this is what the story was about. And by now, hopefully, somebody has got a link to it. I found the article, subscribers only? Nanda. You mean paper subscribers? Because I'm a subscriber, paper subscriber here. Oh. Okay, I don't actually have, I guess because I'm a physical subscriber, I presume I'm allowed to read that. I'll check. I should have thought of this before. When I looked at it, it showed for me. Okay, whatever. I will try and get a link. As I said, I'm a subscriber, so I will try and get a link for you for tomorrow. Sorry about that. I'm not going to sit here right now trying to log in and stuff. Crossroads of East and West. So the new 14-meter-long escalator is wide enough to carry 2 rows of visitors. It's on a museum, some new public museum here. And what's the result? Here's the reporter's deal. Over 4 consecutive hours, I counted 212 riders. Subtracting those visitors who boarded the escalator shoulder to shoulder, there were 134 who chose to ride on either the left or right. By my tally, 116 stood on the left, 6 times more than the 18 who stood on the right. Well, I guess all that means then is that Sekigahara must be closer to Osaka than it is to Tokyo. It is difficult to say whether my sample was truly representative of local trends. Why left in Tokyo, right? There's a history here. So, Soka, the first escalator in Osaka was put up by Hankyu in 1967. I would have thought it was older than that, but whatever, 67. The company played an announcement asking people to stand on the right side so the left could become clear for travelers in a hurry. Why did the company urge people to stand on the right? This is Osaka. They speculate that since most people are right-handed, standing to the right would make it easier to grab onto the handrail. Okay? Then, if that's the case, why do people in eastern Japan stand to the escalator's left? Now it gets fun. The practice may have something to do with the Allied occupation of Japan after World War II. The GHQ, General Headquarters, they codified a road rule that said the right-hand lane, this is cars, the right-hand lane should be used when overtaking other traffic. The notion of passing on the right presumably spread from there. So it started with cars. We drive on the left, right? So when you're a slow car, you're at the left-hand side and the right-hand cars pass. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense for a country that drives on the left. Coriolis effect. Did our garbage disappear? Did the garbage get picked up? I wasn't watching. Did the truck come along and pick up the garbage? I'm supposed to be carving here. Garbage seems to be gone. I guess that's it. It's picked up. Oh, this must be the sign. There's still no major sign on the restaurant next door. And this looks like, here's somebody looking up at the top. He's got a truck. He's got ladders. I think next door we are about to get our sign. Let me pretend to do a bit of work at least here. Come on. Paywall. Soka, I didn't realize that. Sorry about that. that cultural thing, the idea that things are different in Tokyo and Osaka, it really, really goes back a long, long, long way. Well, to the beginning of that era, to the Edo era. It's more than that. It's actually, they split things into three quite frequently. How it's done in Tokyo, Edo, how it's done in Osaka, and how it's done in Nagoya, which sits right between the two. And it really is a thing. It's language differences, it's food differences, as we saw, it's traffic differences. In the old days of printmaking, it was printing differences. The types of prints that were made here in Edo, Tokyo, and the types of prints that were made in the Kansai area were really, really quite different. The topics were different, the themes were different, and the techniques of making them were sometimes quite different. So if you're speaking to a Japanese person anytime and you need something to talk about, ask them about this, because there's it's a massive, massive topic. And any area of society, any area of society, language, food, culture, printmaking, you name it, they've got this difference between comedy. The comedians here, these are Tokyo-style comedians telling Tokyo-style jokes, I can't in any way tell you what the difference is, but that in the area of comedy, but there is a difference. And somebody who knows the details here would be able to tell you, oh yeah, he obviously grew up in Osaka, he's telling that kind of joke, stuff like this. There's major differences here. So to find that this little escalator thing is also different is not a surprise in any way. It's like sort of course, what did you expect? Excuse me. How much larger was the line work on this print? I don't know. The original print, you can find it if you go to ukiyo-e.org, look for koryusai and enter keywords koryusai and dog, you'll find this print. The original print was a chuban size, and that's 1/4 of an original sheet of washi. This is going to be 1/8 of a sheet of washi, but we've also cropped. So we're not half size, but we are somewhat smaller than the original. And Chonsan, because Chonsan is Chonsan, he has traced all the hair here at the original hair count. Like if there was 6 hairs, he hasn't reduced it to 4, he's drawn 6, which is a bit silly actually. But do I find the comedy funny? I really don't, and I don't know. It's a question of language skills. I know comedy is comedy. I mean, the kind of comedy that goes on here in the theater next door here. This is 2 guys. It's based on the old manzai, but it's a sort of a mix of manzai and vaudeville and slapstick. And if I went in the theater there and sat down, 90% of it would fly over my head for a couple of reasons. Colloquial language. I'm very poor at colloquial language because people don't speak to me in that kind of a language. I've never lived with a rough and tumble family. The Japanese people who speak to me are employees or friends or customers or gallery visitors or whatever, and none of those people would ever dream of speaking to me in a colloquial form. Of course, they speak to me in normal, what's the word? Your average Japanese. But the world of jokes and comedy and slapstick and all that stuff, it of course is totally, absolutely rooted in the what's the word? The language that's used at the roughest level. So I have no idea. This stuff just flies way, way over my head. I don't watch TV, so I don't have that access to it. I don't watch gangster movies, so I don't see how those kind of people talk to each other. So I have a very, I have a very protected life here when it comes to Japanese. Oh, my light bulb has died up there. Soka. That's why it looks dark. It's a dead light bulb. So no, I don't get that stuff. I really, really don't get that stuff. I don't know that I'm missing much, but no. But when we're in the middle of conversation and somebody makes a gag or says something, I get it. It's just part of the conversation. That I can understand. But a comedy routine or a stand-up routine, no, there's just no way. I don't think I'm missing much, but whatever. One never knows. And because of that protected environment, this cocoon that's around me, nobody will speak bad language to me, of course. Because of that, I'm also very poor at things like swearing in Japan. I don't know how to effectively swear in Japan. Although that's a dangerous game. It doesn't bother me anymore, but back when I was first here, and I'm like, you're talking with friends and stuff, and they would ask me, Dave, teach us some, bad words, in English, because I was an English teacher, so you'd get the high school boys or something sometimes. They'd ask, teach me some bad words, Now, you already know those. You've been watching U.S. movies and stuff like that. There's nothing I can help you with that you don't already know, And then I'll turn around. Okay, you tell me. You teach me some bad words in Japanese. And oh no! You can't do that to a foreigner. No. You're not allowed to know that. That stuff. So no, those are topics I can't help with. This is delicate stuff. The printers are not going to be all that happy with this, There's so many delicate lines going in all different directions. When the lines go in the same way, hairlines or something, you take your brush, you can clear it. But these lines go in all different directions. It's going to be quite difficult, for the printers on this one. They'll do it, but there's going to be quite a number of spoiled prints in the middle of it. Do I take liberties adding or subtracting lines on a print ever? No, it's not blasphemous. There's nothing blasphemous here. We don't, we are never, I got to qualify. When I did the Great Wave reproduction, in that one I really tried very, very, very much to catch a line by line, dot by dot, perfect reproduction. I did, on that particular project, I did try and do that. In our other projects, like the one I'm doing right now, we are not in any way pretending or proposing or saying that this is a dot-for-dot reproduction. There's stuff we've dropped stuff out of here. There might have been 3 puppies, and we've cut one out, and now there's 2 puppies. I don't know. We are making a print based on ideas from Koryusai, this particular series that we're doing here. So we don't have a general one-size-fits-all rule. Some projects demand close adherence to what the original was, and some projects don't. And it works the same way with the original stuff we do. When I did the Kickstarter with Jed back in 2012, based on the very first game character designs he did, we were still finding our way through this. And some of Jed's designs came to me, and I carved them exactly as he gave them to us. And some, it really wasn't possible to carve them exactly as he had given them to us. They didn't fit in the spacing. He designed them on a very large scale, A3 size paper, and we were printing them at a very small scale. So when you reduce the size, things that were in the original just couldn't happen. Not just because they were becoming too small, but because the layout and the balance of the parts of the design were different. It's hard to explain in words. So we adapted them, of course, with his knowledge and permission, whatever. We adapted those drawings to make a woodblock print that made sense. So there's no single answer for your question. Sometimes, yes, it's picture-perfect reproduction. Sometimes it's an adaptation. And the one I'm doing right now is very, very much an adaptation. We're not in any way pretending this is a perfect reproduction. We wouldn't do stuff like change the mood, like the dog's face here, the way that the face and the nose and ears work. We're going to leave that, of course. You wouldn't muck with that. But, how many lines are down here? No, not at all. Although, as I said, Chon-san, because he's a control freak fanatic, he really has, for the most part, traced what was in the original here. But the wave was, as much as I could do it, was a dot-for-dot reproduction. Even the character, the feeling of each dot, I tried to get the feeling of the dots that were in the original one that I was reproducing. So what's happening on the sign thing here, I don't think that there's going to be a sign in the truck here. I think this will be an advance man to get stuff ready, bolts and electrical and stuff. All I know is that the next door, they're going to do, it's something to do with neon. There is neon involved. It's going to be large. It goes up to the second floor, and it's going to be bright. It's going to very much change the mood of this little block here once things come. The restaurant next door is, so far, they're really not doing very well. I know they didn't expect to. We know we're still in pandemic territory. They know, and they're quite willing to hold on for a long time. They came in here. They had the chance to get the building after the kimono shop disappeared. So they grabbed it, even though they know that opening a restaurant in a pandemic is not such a cool idea. It was their chance to get that space. So they grabbed it, made their investment, and now they're just going to hang on until the world comes back. So there really are very, very, very few customers in there so far. It's not zero. There's been some. But they seem like pleasant people. The young lady, it's a young couple, I guess. They're in their late 30s, early 40s, maybe a young couple. I think they've received backing from family or whatever. So there's no way a young couple like that would have been able to afford the stunning investment to build that place. But and they're really, really pleasant people. She's really nice. During the partway along when they were constructing, she came and apologized for the noise and stuff like this. And I'm like, no, relax. We did it in our turn. I will be doing it next year. We'll be making noise. So, no, don't sweat it. So they're really good people. Very attractive young lady. That must be the garbage down the street at the hot dog place. So tomorrow there's going to be fun. I know. It's been 2 months. As I know, it's been 3 months. We didn't clean in January. We didn't clean in February, didn't clean in January. So it means all of December's dirt, all of January's dirt, all of February's dirt is here. So we have 3 months worth of accumulated dirt to clean up. And in front of the hot dog place, oh my God, it's thick. It's now getting to the point where it's almost dangerous to walk there. On a rainy day, and this is serious, on a rainy day, if I walk down past the hot dog place, you have to really be careful because the sidewalk is so caked with black grease that it's now slick and dangerous there. This has now become a public safety issue. And tomorrow, clearly, I won't be directly involved with this because I'll be doing my job up on the lamp posts, but I am going to absolutely watch out of the corner of my eye to see what happens. The Kaicho-san, the leader here of our area, now it's clear. Nobody can avoid this anymore. He has to do something. He has to get over there and tell those people, okay guys, you got to fix this. Because if somebody slips and falls there, it's not just the responsibility of that shop. It's the responsibility of the whole shop association on this street. This 2-block street is our responsibility, and I'm in that our group. So there's going to be some kind of, I can't say showdown, that sounds a bit dramatic, but there's got to be some kind of, it will have to be discussed tomorrow. Because it's now getting dangerous. So, and 3 months accumulation of it. As I said, I stand back. I'm not involved in the actual discussions at all. I'm still very much a newbie here, but it's an issue. It's an issue, and what they're doing actually is disgusting. But whatever. You can see how it happens. You know, they sell the stuff there. They sell these. They're greasy hot dogs, and the way you eat them is you've got them in this cardboard little package. And they've got the photographs teaching people how to eat it, the YouTube videos. And you bite the end and you pull it back. And you stretch it out about 1 foot, and then you nibble, nibble, nibble. And of course it's dripping, dripping, dripping. And of course nobody wants to drip on their clothes. So it's dripping on the sidewalk in front of this place. And it's really a mess. Really a mess. The hot dog wars. I'm an observer here. I've not spoken to anybody about this. I'm an observer here. We're okay for time, right? I still get surprised by this every time show and tell. We're okay. Show 8:53. There's 2 things today. I have the actual show and tell, and I also want to show again that package that came from Cal Carlisle the other day. I showed you this print Cal sent me, and after the stream the other day, I showed you this print. It's a New Year's card with an ox view, a bull view, an ox view. And when I looked at it, I think, what did I say when I was showing it to you? I said, wow, this guy is getting good. This is scary good. The carving was just insane. And after the stream was over, I looked at it again and sat there for a while thinking, do I need to hire this guy? What's going on here? And then I realized something. So I want to show it to you again in a few minutes. We'll do it before the other show and tell. That leads to more too. Soka, soka, soka. Reminds me about something else. Speaking about Cal, I realized something about how that print was made. Then I also realized, I wonder, Cal may not want me to talk about this in public. I don't know. So in order to find out whether he has already talked about this topic in public, I went to Google and Googled up, and it turned out there's an interview with Cal Carlisle, the printer who sent me that package. And it turned out, I didn't know this, he was the first person interviewed on that Andre's podcast. You know, the podcast, the Unfinished Print, is that what he calls it? There's a podcast out there now with a dozen or so episodes on it called The Unfinished Print. And it turned out that Cal was the first person interviewed for that podcast. Anyway, long story short, on that podcast, they did talk about this point that I will bring up in a few minutes when I show you the print again. So I realized, it's okay. This is not something that's top secret. I can Cal himself talked about it in public, so I can also talk about it in public. But speaking about that, the podcast came up, the Unfinished Print podcast. And Andre, the guy who runs that, he's written to me once or twice asking if I will go on his podcast. And so far, I've said no so far. So far, I've said no. But it made me think about this. And if there was an interview situation that I was going to accede to, difficult to explain. Long story short is, I'm thinking actually of doing that interview myself. The reason I didn't say yes to Andre's request is because I don't think he'll get it right. Listening to the interviews that are already there on that podcast, I'm not convinced that he's asked the right questions that would really tell me what that person is doing and why they're doing it. I haven't got that knowledge from any of the issues that I've listened to so far. So I'm thinking here, I wouldn't mind doing an interview like that But I would like to have it so that really interesting stuff was brought out, stuff that I myself wouldn't think of saying, maybe stuff that I myself didn't even know. The best interview would be one that where the guy's asked you a question, and in the course of answering it, you realize that, gee, I don't actually know. Let's think about that together, and then you explore some really interesting idea. And how can that happen? What that needs is a really, really sharp interviewer who knows you well, who knows what you're doing well, and who sort of, in some sense, knows it better than you yourself. I would love to have an interview with that kind of person. I didn't get that mood at all from Andre's previous episodes, so that's why I haven't really said yes to him at this point. So. But having said that, it brings up an interesting idea then. What questions, what do you think should be asked in that interview? What would be the most effective way to interview me to bring out really interesting stuff? Not the, where did you first see woodblock prints and what got you into this and stuff. I'm not interested in talking about that. That information is out there on the net. Anybody who wants it can find it and see it. It doesn't need me to tell the same story that could already be told just by looking at the information out there. What questions could be asked and what direction could the conversation be taking to make it into something that was really interesting for the interviewer, for the interviewee, and for the people listening? Actually, you could make it, there's a challenge for you. Give me some questions. I'm not going to answer right now. I don't mean right now. Don't give me the questions right now. But if somebody has some thought about this, if you were, help me put this together. Help me put this together. Email here, or maybe just drop the questions in here where I can see them later. I'm not going to interview now. Help me think about what would be the questions that would probe or that would get behind the thing that I'm missing a lot of this, so. No, there's a bunch. Tarangan has already done one for him. So there's that podcast, the unfinished print. I've listened to, I think, 3 of them so far. I've tried to listen to 3 of them. Taran's was okay. John Amos, I tried to listen. I couldn't. I couldn't. It just no. I mean, that's a great example. John Amos, a person I have staggering respect for. Almost nobody in this field would have as much respect for as John Amos. He's a nice guy, he's a super guy. His productivity, oh my God, the things he's done, the interesting things. When I saw that there was an interview with John Amos there, I'm like, I have got this, get my coffee ready, sit down, listen to this, I am in. And I could not get through, I could not, it was just, there was nothing there, I'm sorry, nothing there, So what should have been a wonderfully interesting discussion was just nothing. So this is why I haven't said yes, to the request to go on that. But then, okay, I should do it myself, kind of. Okay, what I'm asking sounds like silly. Okay, I don't want to go on an interview because there's going to be hardball questions. Give me some softball questions. I'll gather them together and do this. That's not the point. I know. Actually, what I would like is sort of, is there such a thing as a hardball question in my field? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, we're not talking about politics here. This is woodblock printmaking, And maybe that's all there is. I don't know. Well, how did you get started and why are you doing this? Maybe that's all there is. I don't know. I want or expect or need something more than that. I've already said all that stuff. I've already talked about why I'm doing this. I've already talked about how I got started. What I would like is to be in a situation where the guy's asking questions and I'm like starting to sweat or something, That's where it would get to be fun, But this is woodblock printmaking, so there isn't anything there, I don't know. I'm being a bit, what's the word, inconsistent, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, speaking of interviews, there's an interview tomorrow here. It's the Toyo Keizai, the business magazine. They're coming tomorrow for an interview here, reporter and photographer. And it's going to be as bland as they come. As bland as they come. The guy sent me the questions already in an email. Whatever. He thinks he's being polite. He thinks he's being proper. He's doing it the normal Japanese way. He doesn't want to be hostile, whatever. And he thinks he's doing it okay. And the questions came by email. And I'm like, I looked at this and I just face-palmed. When did you first come to Japan? What made you interested in Japanese woodblock prints? I mean, how are we doing for time? 9:03, okay, 9:03. When I carve and talk to you, do I go on autopilot? Whatever, it's two different jobs, The carving here is a specific skill set. There's a line, there's a muscles, there's things to do. And chatting with you guys it doesn't even overlap at all among those things. So it's not I'm not worried about breaking a line because I'm distracted talking to you. It does happen. We've done that actually. I've broken the tip of the blade once because I wasn't being quite so careful enough. So it's not 100% disconnect, but it's such a different skill set, My mother, I know she sits there, if I'm visiting my mother, she will sit there in her chair, knitting needle, chuk chuk chuk, purl one, knit two, purl two, knit two, one, two, purl, watch her plan. She's got a graph of the knitting thing she's doing. She's doing this knit one, purl two. She's watching Jeopardy or something at the same time, and I'm sitting there and I'm chatting with her. I'm doing a crossword puzzle and asking her a question. So it's the same thing. You've got these skill sets that are so completely different and don't overlap that you can do one without worrying about the other. But it's also experience. She's knitting that and her fingers have done that thing once or twice before. And of course the fingers are moving without any conscious effort. So right here, to sit here and put this knife in this thing right now, there's the tip of the line, slide along the line, move along the line. It's not in any way overlapping the kind of mental thing that happens when I'm talking to people, And right now it's the point, of course, where I'll break the knife because I'm not watching carefully enough, So I hope there's lots of sensible comments there in the interview section, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're just joking around and laughing about this, but I really would like to be able to put together an interview. I might even do it myself. One of the YouTube videos could be that. It could be Dave doesn't get interviewed well, so Dave decided the only way to get interviewed really well is to do it himself. So maybe I'll think about that for an upcoming video. Split screen, I should sit on the left side and right side, or just whatever, just read off cards or something, I don't know. Because a good interview, remember too, it's not just done, it's not cue and then answer, and then next question, then an answer. It's the guy will tee something up, the person will tee something up for you, you start replying, and it becomes a conversation. That's when it really, really gets good. But the person has to be good at it. The other person, the interviewer, has to be good at it. I don't know if you notice what's happening here. Every now and then the light goes in a funny place. I've got this situation here where there's the block and the hanging flask, and behind it there's the light. And the idea is the light shines through the water onto this area of the block, giving me a nice, spread out light. I mean, this question gets asked and answered 100 times in every stream. But I'm in trouble at the moment. What's happened was, sometime over the past week or so, the string, it's a cord, a coiled cord. The string holding the flask here, it goes up to a hook on the light bar up top of me. And over time, it has just stretched a little bit. So what's happening right now is, as I'm carving at the bottom of this block, the block is supposed to slide under the flask. The flask is supposed to be up about 1 centimeter more, and the block slides under it, so I can carve anywhere we're doing. But the block, the flask now is actually, it's fallen, not falling down, but it's stretched a bit, and what happens now is the block won't go under it. So every time I'm carving down at the bottom here, I've got the light, I rotate the block to get to where I'm going, it bangs this thing and moves it all out of line. So and it was the same thing was happening in the last stream, and I meant, Dave, before the next stream starts, get up there and fix this. And of course, I didn't get up there to fix it, and it's still a problem. So hopefully I can, before we have the next stream next week, I can get up there and fix it. We're just going to pull that flask about 1 centimeter higher so that my block can safely slide under it. So tie a knot, whatever. I think there actually already is a knot or two in there. No, what there is there's a hook up. There's a hook up there, and then the cord is over it. And when this happened a couple of weeks ago, I just took a pencil out of my box, and I jammed a pencil in between the cord and the hook. So they lifted it up just enough to do that. But it's now slid down, so. It was adjusted in January. I took the flask off at the beginning of January and cleaned it up. No sign. I think this was the advanced party, the sign company. He came, he measured, he looked, and what kind of concrete drill do we need and stuff like this. I don't think there was a sign in the back of the truck there yesterday. But clearly now the process has begun. I think that's what it was. Well, that's the Oshibori Mountain. Okay, 9:10. Tell you what. No, let's wait. Let's do a bit more. I got to finish this corner. Let's do a bit more. Finish this corner, and then we have a double show and tell. We're going to repeat a little bit of the show and tell from Cal Carlisle, and then on to our blow. I was trying to get that thing finished. There's 2 more strokes. Yeah, I'll just break it. If I try and do it, then I'll break it. It's cool. It's cool. If I'd have talked 1 minute less a bit earlier, we could have done that. Hi. 50. Okay, couple of things. Just a quick one first before we get to the windy work. A couple of things. The print, the beautiful print, the interesting fun print that Calvin Carlyle sent the other day. I didn't understand what I was looking at. It's a woodblock print, of course, beautifully done. And what blew me away, and what did I say in the stream? I said something like, color me impressed, I think I said, and I'm still impressed. What was really difficult that Cal has done with this print is the carving, is the stroke effect around the lettering. It's incredibly accurately, carefully, beautifully done. And for me, I can't do this. There's no way I would have been able to carve this as cleanly as it's carved all around all those curves. It's not quite perfect. Look at this. The top one here is a little bit thinner than the bottom one, but it's really, really, really well done. I mean, this is scary good. This is scary good. And then the other line, the black outline around the cow here, it's not done with brush strokes, it's done mechanically, but it is perfectly, accurately the same width all the time. Color me impressed. And actually, I realize now what's actually happened here is Cal has hand printed this, but the carving is laser carving. It's carved by a laser. And I wasn't sure if he was talking about this publicly, but I went back to listen to that podcast, and he talks about it there. He does some work with a laser and some work by hand. So it makes me feel a little bit better. And it's an interesting question. Okay, if it can be done so accurately and beautifully with a laser these days, then why am I doing this? What's the point about doing this? And it's a big, interesting, open question. What's the point? Well, there's a few things to involve. I know back in the old days, when this was all woodblock printing, this was the only technique they had. And their point wasn't to make beautiful art, or their point wasn't even to make woodblock prints. Their point was to communicate information across. So it wasn't the woodblock printing aspect of it that was important. It was the communication of the information that was important. And they had pieces of wood and knives. That's all they had. They didn't have offset. They didn't have lasers. So that's what they used. Move along to the Meiji era. The printing presses came in the Meiji era, and it did basically destroy this, because the communication of information aspect of it was able to be done with cheaper, more efficient, faster, blah, blah, blah ways. And the offset printing and other forms of printing blew this out of the water. It didn't completely disappear, because there's another aspect to the market for woodblock prints, where it wasn't communication of the information, it was a physically beautiful, interesting object that had been created with that technique. And the offset printing didn't impart that beauty. The offset printing imparted the information that was on top. So the thing forked. The offset printing took over the world as far as printing and stuff went, and left us with the people who are looking at these prints, not in terms of looking for information. I need to know what that dog looks like. They want this specifically beautiful and involved object. Somebody's talking about CDs and vinyl. Yeah, there's part of it there. The vinyl thing transmits the information, ba-boo-doo-dee-da, but in a different way and in a different mood and in a different feeling. So am I going to give up because the lasers can do this? This is an interesting point. If the laser can bring the efficiency, but without destroying that beautiful hand-touched, hand-toned feeling, then now we've got an argument here. There is, to my knowledge, no printing technique yet that will create the beautiful mood and feeling of a handmade woodblock print on nice washi. But clearly, if the lines can be cut this way, leaving the beauty to be put in by the printer and the materials, then there's a discussion to be had here. And Cal obviously has made this clear decision. Man, it looks beautiful, so use the laser. He can do it in while he sleeps. The laser will do the work, So I'm not dissing him here at all. We've got prints for sale in our shop by Miyako Dori Publishing Company, which are laser cut. But it's a different ball game than when the offset presses came. The offset presses took away the beauty of the printing, but the lasers can leave us with the beauty of the printing, but they can make the production of the matrix, the block, much quicker and more efficient. So this is going to be a game changer. This is absolutely going to be a game changer. At the moment, we're going to keep going because it's my pride, and we like to do it this way. We want to have our hand skills in here. But clearly, there is now an opportunity for people to bring products to the market that are beautifully carved, quote, quote, carved, and it's going to be up to their printing skill to see how to make that beautiful object. So this is a new ball game, absolutely new ball game. Okay, enough of that. It's 9:21. We have a show and tell. I wanted to open it the other day, you know. I wanted to open it and sneak it out and look at it and put it back in, because I got to check off the guy's not getting his money until I open it. And I opened it and I realized I can't do that because the whole thing is sealed and I can't open the envelope until I've taken it all off. So I wasn't able to cheat. Okay, we have a little Paulownia box. And as soon as you see a Paulownia box, you know what we're looking at. We're looking at some kind of scroll. Now we've had before on this stream, we've had some, oh, look at this, a nice little box. It needs some repair. It needs some repair at both ends. But it's a nice little box. Estimated age on this thing is somewhere, give or take, it's 100 years old. Give or take 10, 15 years. It's a little scroll, and it is, I believe, it was sold to me as a woodblock print scroll. And I know this particular object was made back in the late Meiji period, and I do believe we've now finally got one, but whether or not it's a later reproduction of that, I don't know. It's possible, I sure hope not, that it's an offset reproduction of a woodblock print, which is a reproduction of a painting. Not sure. Let's have a look at this. Not sure. This could be a double reproduction, in which case it's disappointing for me. But first, let's just have a look at it first, and then let's see. Our first view here is, how are we going to do this? I need, what am I going to use? The bad news, it's offset, the bad news. So it's not going to become part of our collection, but we've come this far. Let's have a look at it. A group of men talking about something. Now, some of you already may know what this is, because this is the opening scene of a famous, famous scroll. Let's move to the next scene. The men and or their friends are cooking up something. A very special food, a very special high-powered food. Do you know where we're going with this? The problem with this food is it's beans. And it's beans, beans, beans. We're looking at a scroll from, it's the 1600s, was the original first version of this. I have a link. The original was in color back in the 1600s somewhere. There's the link. And in the Meiji era, a woodblock reproduction of the scroll was made in single tones. This is an offset reproduction, unfortunately, of that woodblock scroll. And it's the famous He-Gassen or He-Gassen, He-Gassen. So the era, the original scroll was 16 something, 1680 something, and the woodblock reproduction of it was made in 1860 or somewhere around there. And this is a picture of the woodblock reproduction. So, and what they're doing here, these guys, they're filling a bag, they're filling bags with their activity. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And then with the saved up gas from the bags, they can now go to battle effectively. So like I says, somebody had too much free time. That was Johnny Carson's line, wasn't it? Johnny Carson back in the old days with his show, him and Ed, what's his name? Ed Mahan, whatever. The two of them, and Johnny Carson would have some guests, and the guy would tell where he's going. And when the guest is gone, Johnny would look at Ed and say, "Man, too much free time." And that's exactly what I think about this. So. And the original scroll is really, really beautifully done. It's delicate painting. It's the original one is to die for. He's like, why, And all the people in the scroll, they're done with these, the Heian era clothing as much as they've got clothing on. And these are assumed to be aristocrats. They're assumed to be aristocrats. Defense. The defense comes up with the fans. Seems quite effective. And the page I linked to you, the whole scroll is on there in full color. You can scroll back and forth along the whole scroll. The whole thing, originally, it's about 10 meters long. There's 10 meters of this thing. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I will not be keeping this. I am going to write to the auction guy, this was misrepresented, sorry. So instead of me clicking the button that says, I received this today, I'm going to be sending him an email saying, sorry, this was misrepresented. It is not a woodblock print. So this has to go back. So hopefully he will accept that without fighting. Who knows? So there we are. So the pictures you see here, this is about 1/3 of the original content of the whole thing. Like I said, the original was about 10 meters long of it. And I was really hoping today that we would get a nice woodblock version of it, but such is not the case. We win some and we lose some. So, how long can you keep up a fart joke? 10 meters of it, But it's attractive, actually. The original one, it really is it's a beautiful object, actually, so. There's one near the end of the real scroll where there's a house, a building is being blown down from outside, and it's like a massive typhoon earthquake has destroyed this building. So those of you who have some, idea or feeling or mood that Japanese art is high class, cultured, whatever the Westerners would do, funny stuff, but Japanese, no. I tell you, these guys were good at low-class stuff, and they were good at porn, of course. Japanese shunga is world famous for its... There's women in here, by the way. So I don't know if there's any in this. These all look like men. But in the original scroll, if you go to the scroll and look at it, you will see that the women join the party. There's lots of women in the scroll. I don't see any here in this particular group of it, but in the original scroll, there are lots of women involved. So. So zannen, as they say in Japanese, zannen. I was hoping that we'd get a nice 2-meter long, nice wood block print. Fun for the whole family. So. We win some and we lose some. Actually, though this is actually quite old. I know the woodblock version of this is, as I said, from the 1860s, and I had hoped that's what we were getting today. Didn't work out like that, but the box it's beautiful. Very nice little box. So sorry for the disappointment. I gave you a big lead up the other day, and I was hoping we'd get a spectacular woodblock print here today. 2 meters of woodblock prints. didn't happen, so. If I oversold, I'm sorry, excuse me. I don't want to open these things in advance. It's more fun opening them on stream, even if it means sometimes I end up with egg on my face, like we do today. If I had opened it up in advance, I would have found it, and we'd have looked at something else. So can't be helped, can't be helped, can't be helped. Okay, there we are. I did get some work done. Thank you very much. I am hoping there's ideas and suggestions and formulations about this interview thing, because at some point I do want to do that. I'm not so willing to say to Andre, okay, let's do this. I really want a better interview than that. I want a meaty, fun, rich interview, and I don't think I'll get that over there. So let's do it ourselves. Maybe you guys can give me the questions or something like this, and we can work out how to do a nice, good, rich interview. Okay, sorry about the down, the down at the end. I'll see you again on Thursday morning. I could be carving, or there's another job coming up that I need to do later this week that might be done also, so we'll see. See you on Thursday morning for me, Wednesday night for you. Thanks very much for watching, and see you next time. Bye for now. Let's put the outside up. The sign guy's gone, Michelle. He ran away. Nothing much happening. Going to be a very quiet Monday here. Okay, let's shut this down. Bye for now. Thanks very much, and see you next time.